Thank you so much for joining me on the first ever podcast episode of the Entrepreneurs Exhale. This is a special episode because today is Juneteenth. And so I love the fact that I have a Black business owner here with me so he can showcase what he does. This is Raymond Williams, and he is a photographer, videographer. I've actually had the pleasure of working with him in the past. He shot one of a collaboration shoot with a friend of mine who has a tanning business, and it was a collaboration shoot between Cali Peach Tanning Salon and Virtual Victoria University. So I'm sure you guys can check out that stuff on my Instagram and his. We have a few collaboration reels, but so happy to have you here today.
Thanks for
and
having
happy
me.
Juneteenth.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
Of course, of course. So I want to know more about your story. I want to know the journey. I mean, so many times as entrepreneurs, we're on autopilot.
Yeah.
And we don't really have the time to sit back and reflect on all the challenges of entrepreneurship. Like nobody has time to cry over spilled milk, right? Yeah. So it's the reason why I wanted to start this podcast is truly for entrepreneurs to come together, unwind and unpack the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs of entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I know that journey looks different for everybody. So I want to hear about your journey.
I mean, honestly, my journey, I would say it was an ideal entrepreneur journey. However, it was a little, yeah, because
okay.
And what I mean by that is after being an entrepreneur, after X amount of years meeting so many other entrepreneurs, you find out they suffered from the same type of struggle that you went through. And so in a sense, you kind of create this, entrepreneur trauma bond, oh, let's help each other build because we don't want to go back to just working in corporate and being an employee in there. So it was ideal in that sense. For me in particular, former collegiate, ex-professional or semi-professional basketball player that
really
dropped out of college due to having kids.
Okay.
And I just made an impulse decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to drop out of college, find a 9 to 5 and start to figure out how to, be a supporting father, or of a supporting, expecting father.
Okay.
So
shout out to fathers that show up. I wish I had one of those.
Thank you. So instantly dropping out of college, I went right into quote unquote corporate America working. So I started off doing corporate security. Then I also worked in at a beauty college, at a beauty salon. So I was working a part of a beauty college called Marinello School of Beauty, where I was the salon coordinator, doing paperwork and reception type of work. And it was consistent money, but it wasn't enough. And then the treatment and the lifestyle I wanted to live, it wasn't realistic for me to live the life I wanted to live while just navigating through that type of career path. And so, man, I'll never forget, I was doing graveyard security one day, and I was just at a point in my life where I was like, man, I can't see myself doing this forever. I'm going through a great depression, literally dropping out of college, giving up my dreams and transitioning. That was, took time to regroup and bounce back. And so in the midst of that journey, I was like, you know what? I'm going to write down my 6 month plan, my goal in 6 months. What do I want to do?
And how old were you at this point?
At this point, it's 2015. I was in 2015.
Wow, that's when I moved to San Diego.
Yeah, 9 years ago. I was 26.
Okay.
I was 26 years old.
Yep.
And I just started writing down a 6 month exit plan. Like, what is my goal? If I were to become an entrepreneur, what would actually be my plan? What would I want to start as a business? And
hold on, I want to interject right there.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. Where did you hear that word? Where did you learn what that meant? What do you remember that time that you first heard that for the first time?
Yeah, my dad was an entrepreneur. My dad was a very unique individual. He was
so you were raised with that, knowing what that was.
Former military, former Olympic bodybuilder, had his own fitness company, training company, owned gym in Imperial Beach, Silver Strand Fitness. Like, he was like the ideal,
it's been ingrained in your blood since you were born.
So when I was, mind you, my first initial dream, my first job, everything, I was supposed to go MBA. That was like my MBA.
that was
full
your
ride
plan.
scholarship, doing my thing, and then boom, the moment I found out I had a kid, I made an impulse decision to drop out and figure out how can I change my life to at least be close. I couldn't travel as much. I couldn't, I had to first couple years of parenting you are very crucial. So
right.
fast forward, that's where I learned the entrepreneurship word lifestyle from my dad.
Yeah.
So when I dropped out and I started working 9 to 5, I felt it in my heart. I'm not supposed to be doing this forever.
Right.
I'm not like I wasn't only disappointed in myself. I was really at a like I didn't realize how I was so desperate to just make some sort of money and have a stream of income that I settled for any job just to buy time to think about what I really wanted to do in life.
Right. Right.
And so based on my experience and and everything I put into athleticism, all I could think of at first was being a trainer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
becoming a sports trainer. So I'm writing down
Went
my
the
training
fitness
company.
journey.
Yeah, like, all right, what would my fitness name be? What would I specialize in? Sports specific,
Yeah.
fitness. Would I be, this or that? And so, 6 months from building that out, I started my own training company. And the name of the company was Gym Lifestyle LLC.
Okay.
And which is actually the umbrella company that started my
Yep.
training company,
Yep.
my photography, videography.
Yep.
So
that's always how it
yeah.
starts.
So Gym Lifestyle, my current LLC, which actually is an acronym for Get Your Money. So G.Y.M is the acronym. And I geared it towards training at first because I was like, all right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my, training certification through National Academy of Sports, Medicine, do that online course, get my certification, and start promoting myself as a client, trainer.
Yeah.
The moment I got business cards, started passing them out, I got a call from an old high school coach I used to play for. And he's like, hey, I want to offer you a coaching job. I heard this and that. So I'm like geeked about getting this coaching job. He's like, in return, you can also train all the players, go grow your platform, boom, boom. So I'm like geeked. I'm like, you know what? Well, at the time, I'm still doing security.
Yeah.
It's 6 months from mapping my plan out. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to keep doing security and I'm going to be coaching high school basketball and I'm going to start training.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get X amount of clients, I'm going to quit my security job and
Right.
I'm never going to go back to
Mm-hmm.
working in. At that point, I'm taking the risk. I'm diving in.
Yeah.
So
that's always the tipping point is like when you
yeah,
decide you're going to go all in, balls to the wall.
yeah.
Yep.
Because it's like when you're doing your 9 to 5 and then you're going to do your entrepreneur work, you don't feel like you're risking it all just yet. It's not until you're like, all right, do I really have room for growth in this 9 to 5? Is this even matching what I'm doing? And and this is how I balanced it out. I said, you know what? Right now I'm getting $19 an hour, and I'm happy about this 19, right?
Right.
And thinking about it now is depressing being happy about 19 an hour because I'm like,
well, inflation, you gotta give it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Too, so when I started my training company, I did all my research and saw what other trainers were offering, and I'm like, well, I don't even feel like I'm really at the 60 an hour. I'm not there yet, so I'm going to start off at $25 an hour.
Okay.
I'm going to
and
train.
that was big.
That was huge because now
I'm
like, I'm turning 25 an hour. This is my, I'm like,
I'm premium, baby.
So I'm like, I started doing the calculation. I'm like, if I get 10 clients and I'm doing them, boom, boom. Oh, I can quit this because then I'm making weight. So I stuck to the script, right? And I started coaching. I started training some of the players outside, and I got to 10 clients within 2 more months. So that's 8 months of sticking to my 6-month plan.
Right.
8 months in, I'm like, oh, snaps. All right, I can, risk this. As I'm training, one of the parents asked, hey, do you know somebody that can also record workouts and stuff? Because we're trying to put together videos for our kid to be promoted on social media.
Oh, like the promo videos to get into like colleges.
Exactly.
And
highlight tapes, recruit tapes.
Yes, the highlight tapes.
Mm-hmm. At the time, I'm a test dummy.
Oh, I see where you're going right now.
At the time, I'm her like me. She's a photographer, videographer, journalist, graphic design, web design, this degree, that degree. Right at the time when I'm doing security, she has a clothing brand too that she still has. She's just using me as, you're gonna monitor this, you're gonna monitor this.
So this was your mentor, essentially.
So she's taking pictures of me, editing them, and not gonna lie, I'm gonna sugarcoat it. She would edit some pictures, and I'd be like, hey, can you edit it like this? And I would get so nitpicky that she'd be like, here, you do it yourself. So I'm like, all right, well, I need you to teach me. And then she kind of like, she backfired. She's like, yeah, you need me to do this. So if you want it to be a certain way, I'll teach you how to do it and you can do it yourself.
Okay.
So I said, okay, teach me. She said, well, then you got to sit here while I'm doing it and watch me. And if you got questions, ask. So I just became like most people do YouTube University. I'm just front line. I'm like, okay, that's contrast, that's clarity, that's luminance, that's this. Hey, what does that do? What is this? And she'll kind of, I'll know when I'm asking too many questions, and I'll know when I just need to pay attention. But next thing you know, when a parent asked me if they can coordinate, they weren't too adamant about it being a professional. I was like, I can do it. You want me to record the workout? So next thing you know, boom, I get a little T3 Canon eye. I'm all bragging to my A's. I got T3, boom, right? I start recording them. I start getting better at it. Next thing you know, they asked me if I did birthday parties. I didn't have no experience, but again, I'm like, yeah. I said, I've been with my A's. I've been with her. I did events. I did this. I was her assistant, but I never did things myself.
You're your own.
So as I'm getting bigger jobs, I'm just asking her, hey, Ace, how I do? What up? Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And so I'm literally investing every little bit of money back into equipment.
That's what you got to do. Yep.
I'm not going to buy clothes and shoes. I spend a year reinvesting in equipment.
Yep.
Researching what's the top equipment, what is this, what is, because I want to start doing like videos like this. And so one door kept opening.
And then you learned about the write-offs too.
Man, I learned about write-offs. Once I got into the community, once I got into law firms, once I got in, it opened up so many doors. I could go on and on and on. But just like for the sake of time, just the story of where it started from just a hobby turned into something I wanted to take more serious and perfect. And honestly, what really changed the game financially with photography, videography was the pandemic. When the world shut down, when the business world just shut down, and people were like, how can we still generate revenue and make money? Content creation and social media marketing.
Yep. It literally changed the game.
For what was a hobby for me, skyrocketed. So
is that when you shut down like the fitness stuff and you went all in on
I shut down
videography?
I started my business in 2015.
Okay.
I stopped working security before 2016.
Okay. And so within the same, like about a year.
Within 1 year, I stopped, and from then on till now,
when did you stop doing the fitness stuff though, or are you still doing that?
I still do fitness, but I don't promote it as much.
Yeah.
Fitness became a little bit.
You looking for new clients?
I always take clients, but what happened was time was money. So what I was charging hourly for fitness, like I'm literally charging, like I maxed out fitness wise $60 an hour. But if I had package deals, so if you bought a set of 10, sessions in advance, I do $30 a session, and you pay $300 for 10 sessions.
Right.
But now each session is an hour. We're meeting at the gym. I'm providing this. It's a lot, like financial wise. It didn't quite make sense. So it became something that people that knew that I was a trainer, if they specifically wanted my style of training, my specific, layout, I'm always taking clients. But literally once the pandemic, and my Instagram shows everything, it shows the transition. I was full-fledged training, and it wasn't just
You still got the old posts up, archive
everything's up. Nothing's archived because that's my story. I don't understand why people archive so much. Like I'm not embarrassed of anything. You see the growth, you see the phases, you see everything. So like,
love that.
I still, training is a passion for me. I'm an former athlete. Like I still to this day I'll hoop once a week. I'll work out at home, hit the gym at least 3 times a week. And this is just self-motivated, no trainer, no anything. Like I'll stay physically fit because I was more into the sport specific training and then also CrossFit. So I wasn't like a trainer that was like, hey man, let's just go in the gym and pump all this iron up. We were into physique. We were into building full body. We were building everything, guys, girls, youth, all the way up to professional athletes. So like, I currently still have athletes that I trained since middle school in the NBA, Division I basketball. Like that's my heart. That's my passion. I wouldn't have became a photographer, videographer if I didn't start in the sports industry and in the training. I was training youth. And then once the demand for me came up, kids would literally want to train with me to get my videos. Hey, can you do a video like that for us for Instagram? Oh yeah, that does come with the training packages too.
This is why I love to hear people's stories, because when I think back to when I shot with you and I did that photo shoot, I wasn't open and out there about my story yet. And I was very self-conscious. That was the first time I ever did a photo shoot in a bikini.
Yeah.
And I've lost over 100 pounds. I was
remember you telling
250
me.
pounds at my highest. And at the time, like, I never told anyone I had gastric bypass surgery. Like, no one knew how I had lost that weight. And like, now I live a very active and fit lifestyle. So it's like, I wanted to be able to showcase that growth and that success and like everything that I had achieved. But at the same time, like, I couldn't hide the fact that I have the scars and remnants of being a lot larger. But you made me feel so comfortable, like shooting in a bikini. And I was like, now it all makes sense to understand, because I'm like, I freak out with photo shoots. I'm like, you just never know how a photographer is gonna like capture your angle, you know? But those pictures you took of me were like fire.
Thank
so
you. I appreciate
good.
that. I literally, that's part of like, I take the photography, videography term like pretty serious, because I'm more than that. Like, I'm like, when I shoot, I'm shooting as if I were that model. I started shooting and was mentored because I was modeling so much, and I was amateur modeling, but I was still like very self-conscious. Like, I know anybody that gets on the other side of the lens is self-conscious. I don't care how confident they act. Everybody is self-conscious. I say there's a 1 percentile in this world, maybe 1.5%, that are just like, but everybody, it's natural. So when I read that on people, I try to automatically work around it without obviously pointing it out. You know, unless they're bringing it to me, it's something I read, and I'm just like, my job is to make my client as comfortable, safe as possible, and then glow them up. Like, glow them up. Like, because when I was on the other side of the lens, I'm like, I feel ugly. I hope they make me look good. Like, that's like the only thing going through my mind. Like, you know.
100%.
But what comes off is like, it comes off like you're confident in this, but deep down it's so. That's the beauty of, you know, this field, and why I started to say, you know what, people love quality content. And I felt like if I could really master the art of quality content, I could take this to the next level. In the opening marketing.
And so you started off really doing like these highlight reels or highlight clips for these, you know, collegiate or high school athletes that were aspiring to go collegiate. And then it really evolves, because now it seems like you do all brands, all different industries. Like, talk about some of the other work that you've done.
So that opened up more doors. It started with sports training, and then it went to parties, or birthday parties, graduations, things that were geared around like
Events, special events.
Doors and opportunities really changed when I became a part of a nonprofit and started to get active in the community with my services. And so I would start to provide my services in the community free of charge, once a month, twice a month, different events, through my nonprofit, because our mission was to, what I was doing, what I went through as a ex-athlete, trying to find out when I finally figured out a plan B and doing all this way later, we wanted to also provide that mentorship to high school kids to help them navigate and not have to bump their head and, you know, try to come up with a plan B later down the line. Because college is tough. You'll understand, college, when you're out, it's the real world. So once I got into the nonprofit community outreach, supplying my services, I met an attorney. When I met an attorney, came in on board, became a part of a marketing team, and found out my position as a content creator, and seeing more, it was like knowledge and opportunity just came together, you know? And once it came together, it was like, man, that literally, once I got into the community law firm, it was a game changer. It was a full-fledged.
Are you familiar with the Bulldog lawyer?
The Bulldog lawyer.
It's Dave Fulkerson, I think is his
Yes.
name. Yeah.
Fulkerson.
He recently just put
That
out
Fulkerson. That's all. He's cool people.
He just put out a reel recently where he talks about the same thing, like getting involved in the community. And that like changes the game for your business, for your mindset. If you're in a depression mode, that's really what like changes it for you.
I'm very familiar with Mr. Fulkerson. I can attest to that statement. We have had similar conversations because me and him were very familiar with each other. The lawyer industry is like any other industry. It's like a fraternity. When you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
So lawyers are going to know other lawyers who know other lawyers who know other lawyers. And regardless of what practice you're in, they're going to know.
Yeah.
So because again, I got connected with him through another gentleman that was doing a podcast, and he was best friends with him. I was out in the community. The guy met me. He watched me on my platform, saw how active I was in the community, brought me to Battle Focusing, and I shot their interview on his podcast.
Wow.
And so that's how, again, he introduced me as the community.
Looks like we need to have Dave on the podcast next.
He should be next. So he saw the work that I have been doing with the firm that I'm at now, which is known as Trial Attorneys. He commended.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, he commended me on the work that I've done for him and also the community stuff, like just commending everything we do in the community and emphasizing that he also, because we started a trend out here throughout the law firms and it was called Pay It Forward. And
love that.
Around the holiday times, we're like challenging all the firms, hey, contribute to the community. We all make all attorneys, all law firms making money.
Yeah.
We're going to start this healthy competition of unique ways to give back to the community. So we would do it, and we would literally on Instagram, tag other law firms and challenge them. And Focusing's firm responded.
Okay.
And they got active, and we loved it. Because not too many firms, not too many businesses in general are very active in the community. They'll say it, but they're not actually active.
Yeah.
And so to see the trend that it was starting.
Do you know why that is? I feel like I know why that is, but I'd be curious to hear your take on it.
On why
businesses aren't as active in the community as they probably could or should be.
Time and money.
Exactly.
Simple to me.
That's what it is.
Time
and so
money.
Many people don't realize just how much more you can get done when you have a team of equipped individuals that you can delegate to.
And more
so many entrepreneurs are on autopilot, right? And they think that they have to do it all themselves.
And most people also might notice I said time and then money.
Yeah.
And time is more important than the money.
Yes.
Because there have been times where we've sent 10 to 15 volunteers from the firm instead of sending 1,000, 1,500 or $5,000 and just saying, oh, hey, here, stroke a check, and say, no, we're actually
the time.
Stroke a check. We're sending a team. We're helping out. We're active. We're seeing what the community actually needs. And that's really a disconnect, because some people think, oh, we're supporting by giving money. If you don't genuinely understand the struggle, how are you supporting?
Yeah.
And if you're throwing money at them, it's kind of like hush money. Here, shut up. Boom.
Right.
It's not money.
Right.
It could just be resources. It could just be help. When the flood happened, I asked how many law firms or businesses went out to actually help the people. How many people went house to house on blocks that were flooded?
I'm curious, what was the number?
I mean, personally, I didn't see many outside of GTA. I'm going to be honest with you. And we were stomping all around.
Wow.
I saw community leaders. I saw organizations. But as far as firms in particular.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that tells a lot about character and
leadership too.
Leadership and core values.
Yeah.
Like core values are huge. Like what when it comes to the core, what do you value?
Yeah.
As a business, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, whatever position you play, what are your core values
100%.
within this business? So
I see now why you say you had such an ideal journey in entrepreneurship, but I got to push back a little on that, because there ain't nothing easy about entrepreneurship. So let me hear some of the hardships. We've heard the highlights. I want to hear the hardships. There's got to be at least one where you are just lucky.
To start off, how to get business cards, where to make them. What do I want on the business card? What picture? What logo? What design I want? Like these are all the immediates. Like every day, honestly, every day was a struggle.
Analysis paralysis.
When I say ideal, that's ideal. It wasn't easy. Ideal means it was a real struggle, and every entrepreneur knows it's not easy.
Yeah.
The hardest thing from the idea, the direction you want to go, to the resources, the connects, and then the elephant in the room, the finances. Until you have actual supporters, or you just have like a big sponsor that's just like, oh, I'm gonna invest, which is not so ideal. You are going
because then you cut into your
it takes money
equity.
to make money. I had to when it came to logo design, I had to pay somebody to come up with a logo, unless I was going to come up with it myself and design it. When it came to business cards, I had to pay somebody to make them, or I had to go make them myself. Right. When it came to equipment, pictures, video, any of that, I had to pay for it myself.
Right.
Everything startup, I had to pay myself. I didn't start getting sponsors, investors, and realizing what those were until I started getting inside the law firm and realizing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's years later down the line, but everything was reinvesting myself.
Right.
You know, sometimes I had to sell stuff to go buy stuff. You know,
yep. As
get rid of stuff
entrepreneurs,
that,
we learn so much that we normally wouldn't have learned just in order to save a quick buck, right? Like I literally made this logo yesterday myself.
Yeah.
But I hear you. Like my first 2 logos, I paid logo designers for that. I know what you're talking about, and it's not easy. Trying to find the right people, reliable, right? Honest, trustworthy, that they can deliver on time, like that you can take what's in your brain and somehow translate that to them and them actually make your vision into a reality. Exactly. Like so many people struggle even with something like that because let's be real, majority of entrepreneurs are visionaries. And it's easy for us to envision what we want, but then to be able to articulate that to someone else who has the skill set to execute it is where I think a lot of entrepreneurs get tripped up. Yeah.
It's man, it's phases to it's different levels of the struggle. From ideas, funding, and then the courage and the support to like, it's risky. You don't know if people are going to like your idea or your services or your craft, whatever it is you're offering. It's very, very, very. It's a self-conscious. You're constantly, it's not until I found out the hard way, but a wise man definitely prepared me by at least letting me know in advance, like, man, your first 5 years of entrepreneurship is going to be a struggle. Just prepare for that. And I'm like, 5 years?
They say most businesses don't make it past the 5-year mark. So that's why.
Like, what do you mean? I'm trying to get real big money in 5 days. You're talking about I'm gonna struggle for 5 years. But he breaks down the type of struggle in areas, and when he breaks it down, I'm like, it's risky, but it's worth it.
Yeah. So how many years of entrepreneurship do you have under your belt now? Well, what year are you on?
I started in 2015. By the end of, so I'm just gonna say 2016 is when I took the risk.
Right.
2016 to 2022.
Okay.
I was full, strictly G.M Lifestyle LLC entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 2 years ago in April I signed my first salary position.
Wow.
And negotiated my own contract. And the reason that
only
reason that I took the salary position is because I negotiated my own terms and conditions. That I was okay with. And the moment I did that through my business, I was like, oh my gosh. It was like designing your own NBA contract.
Right. And entrepreneurship is probably what gave you the confidence and even like knowledge to do so.
Man, knowledge, experience, and then the pitch. When I went there to pitch, when they asked me why, first offer I got, I wasn't too pleased. I declined it, but I still wanted to see if there was room to negotiate because I knew, I'm like, man, if I could be their guy, that I know they want me to be their guy, but if they want me to be this guy, and when I put it all together and I went back and I suited and booted, I'm ready to give my pitch on my number and why I feel I deserve this.
Yeah.
The moment I got that yes, I literally called my mom and cried. I said, Mom, it worked.
Yeah.
I said it worked.
Mama made it.
I said it worked. And it's like, I won't disclose over, but I was like, I just signed for X amount a year, which is a guarantee.
Yeah.
When it became a guarantee, no matter what, this is what you get. Then you get benefits, you get this, you get this, plus this. Man, I said, what?
Change the game.
I called, and then at that point, I literally, you can see on my Instagram, I could go on my Instagram right now and say, this is the first post I said when the prices just went up.
Yeah.
At that point, my value went up.
Because you know what you're worth.
Prices went up. Yeah. Yeah. You can no longer tell me that I'm not worth this.
Right.
And now anything less, if I accept, I accept. And I'll only accept for family, loved ones, or community that need it.
Yeah.
But if I don't, if I get my number, you don't. I'm not gonna be mad at you, and you can't be mad at me.
No,
I was like, oh, thank you, but I can't accept this.
Right.
I can't provide. I won't be okay in my heart, and I can't provide the magnitude of the content because my heart isn't there, and it all doesn't really make so.
Exactly.
It's okay if we, it. So when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh.
That's when you start to attract the
Yeah.
right client who's aligned with your
Yeah.
skill set, the work product you're putting forward. When you're
Yeah.
clear on what your value and worth is
Mm-hmm.
and what you bring to the table, you can better deliver that messaging to
Yeah.
your potential client. And if they can't see that value, then they're not in alignment with you, and that's not a good fit. But if they do, then that's great, or when they do, rather. I've had so many times people, say, oh, it's a little too rich for my blood, but then they circle the block and come back because they see what else is out there and they're like, oh, you really do get what you pay for. So, I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to figure that out, but that's a process in and of itself. These are the kind of nuances or the elephants in the room that a lot of people don't discuss in entrepreneurship, is like the fact that inflation goes up every year.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we want to adjust our prices to equate for that, our clients sometimes get upset with that. And it's like, well, my rent's going up, my insurance is going up, everything in the world, my gym membership is going up, and it's like majority of salary jobs have a built-in, 1 to 3% COLA, like a cost of living adjustment. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be responsible for building that into your pricing. And like, I made that grave mistake for a very long time in the beginning. For the first 2 years of business, I never once adjusted my prices. And so I had clients that were renewing contracts with me for, my contracts, service agreements normally range anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And so, one term after the next, and they've had a certain price for so long that when I go and switch the price, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are you increasing the price? Well, I would hope that by now I've showed you my worth and my value, but everything's going up, so naturally my prices need to go up too. So, I think that's some of the things that like people don't talk about. Another thing I think a lot of people don't talk about is really how lonely entrepreneurship can be. I think that in your situation, it sounds like you had a father who was very familiar, and you probably had him to maybe, I don't know if you did or not, but like had him to go to for advice
1000%.
and guidance with that. Like for me, I didn't really have anyone. None of my friends were entrepreneurs. I had a mother figure that I met in an actual corporate work setting that helped to guide me along the way. But how many friendships I've lost or outgrown because they just don't get it.
I'm right there with you, and I like to use the word outgrown because a lot of my friends, they're not lost, they're still there. They know, like, if even if we don't hang out every day, that they know I'm one call away. If they need me, or if it's like a seller, I'm there. But they also found out and understood that, like, entrepreneurial, it's a whole different lifestyle.
It is.
It's a whole different lifestyle.
Yep.
You can't go a day not putting in towards your business because now you're losing money.
Right.
And once they understand, you're losing money when you're not making money.
Right.
Because bills aren't going to stop.
Nope.
And if you don't generate revenue every single day or have a plan, man, you're going to end up going right back to where you say you didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Hey, can I work here for $19 an hour? And no offense to them, please don't get me wrong when I say that. It's nothing wrong working any job for that pay. Right. But when your vision in life and your outlook on your lifestyle is looking one way, you also got to ask yourself, am I doing what it takes to actually live that lifestyle or support it? If the answer is no, something's got to change.
Right.
And for me, that 1920,
it wasn't in alignment.
It just wasn't, especially living in San Diego.
Yeah.
To this day, I can't imagine doing that, right now on a
And some people are comfortable in living in that complacency, and that's totally
nothing
fine.
wrong with that.
Yeah, that's their choice. Everyone has their own prerogative. But when you have a certain idea for your life and you aspire to have that, and you're not putting the action behind what's needed to get there, you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's what I think you're getting at here.
And what I did was I grew in life. So like in college and fresh out of dropping out, because I graduated high school at 17 and started college.
Young.
I started summer school on my 18th birthday.
Wow.
So I got through, and I'm living on my own campus. I'm out of home. I'm skipping state. So I'm like already kind of like used to a certain, lifestyle early.
Right.
When as soon as I drop out, the $400 or $500 paychecks every 2 weeks, it seemed like it was good enough because it was really just supplying my lifestyle, which at the time all I wanted to do was party, hang out. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't really a lifestyle that a more mature man needs to live in anywhere. You grow up, you're like, okay, well, I can't just party and spend money on. I can't just use my money I'm working for on rent with a roommate, and then the rest of the money on supplying what I want to wear and partying. Like, what do I want outside of that? Even when it came to my dating life, I'm like, I'm only making enough money to take care of me. And the girls, that I'm only able to date, I'm limited because I don't really have the finances to go after the girl or the woman that maybe my heart or my mind desires. So it's like, okay, let me really boss up in this area of life. Let me become an actual boss. Let me make my own decisions. Let me make my own money. Let me maximize.
I love that you're talking about this because a lot of people don't even talk about entrepreneurship and dating and how difficult that could be. Oh my gosh,
I can't right. It transitions because man, it's a whole different lifestyle. It's a whole different demeanor. It's kind of like you become an entrepreneur and you feel like you only match with other entrepreneurs in a dating life now. Right. Because it's like even if you aren't matched with another, entrepreneur, you're matched with another executive that manages entrepreneurs or probably sponsors entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Like help small bit. Like you start to. It's like without sounding shallow, it like puts you in like another mindset and bracket of like what you expect in a partner, and then also realistic expectations that your partner can expect of you. Like I would love laying up all day every day, but reality as an entrepreneur I can't. But that doesn't. I'm also the type like, baby, if you know I'm an entrepreneur, and that doesn't mean we can't spend time. There are times where, hey, come to work with me. The way my job, come with me. And it's designed like, hey, boom, you'll be comfortable, you'll be this, and until you, because at the same time, it's like you shouldn't have as much all day to hang with me too. You either better be, if you're not an entrepreneur, you better be what's your stream of income? Until we get to that point of maybe marriage, it's like, all right, baby, now take your time. I got us from here. Right. Take care of the house. Let's build a family. Like we grow to that. Right. But until then, it's gotta like.
You want to be able to date someone that you have things in common with and that you can have those conversations. And I think in my own experience, what's been challenging in dating and being an entrepreneur is like, I'll meet a guy and it's like, if he has no idea about any of the struggle or any of the things that I'm going through in business, it's like, I feel like I don't have anyone to talk to. Like, and then it's like, a lot of
relate.
Like entrepreneurs, like our jobs and what we do, our livelihood is pretty much like 90% of who we are. Like we never turn off. We're constantly in work mode and we're constantly in growth mode. So if I can't have an intellectual conversation with you to keep up and you understand, what are we even doing? And I think it just made the dating pool even smaller for me. And then it's like, I've had guys where it's like, well, what do you mean you can't go on a date tonight? Like you have to work. And it's like, they can't even respect like the work schedule. And it's like, it's like, I don't have someone who's paying like my salary no matter what, like I'm responsible for making this money. So I think a lot of times I see more often than not, entrepreneurs are either single and like no options, like dry phone, or they're married with like a very supportive spouse. It's like there's like no in between.
Yeah, sure. I know it's it becomes, like you said, a challenge in the sense of like finding like another like-minded individual when it comes to that. Like another thing I found out, man, from my experience, when I would tell people that I'm an entrepreneur, guy or girl, they wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't take it serious. Oh, you're an entrepreneur. We heard that everybody's an entrepreneur, especially after the pandemic. Everybody got a business.
Right.
Okay, right? I'm like, I'm not gonna explain. Okay, right? The moment they would want to either ask more or just do their own research, like you can literally go on Instagram, type in my name, or you can go on Google, type my name. Stuff will come up. Like just do your research, and you'll see what kind of business I actually own, operate, provide services. That is my business. You can type in this EIN on any website and it'll come up. So when I tell you I'm an entrepreneur, I know I'm not like the other ones that
Uncle
you think
Sam
I
knows
am.
you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to debate with you, you know? And
Right.
when I would find myself even in dating, if if I would tell somebody I'm an entrepreneur, I would literally watch their demeanor right off the bat, right? Drop shoulders, like head up. Yeah. So what do you really? That would already create like a, you know what I mean? Not so much disconnect.
Almost like you would get the ick.
Right?
Yeah, the male version of the ick. Yeah.
Because somebody that's also another entrepreneur or that gets it, when I tell them, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, the first thing they say is, what kind of business?
Yeah.
It's like an intrigue.
No, it's so true. Because when I was an executive assistant in Fortune 500 companies in corporate America, I would meet guys that would tell me they're an entrepreneur. And immediately I'm like, oh, he's broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally that's what I would think. And like now that I'm an entrepreneur myself, I'm like,
I'm the girl version of that.
I'm like, what?
I'm the girl version of that now.
Let me tell you, it's been ups and downs. I've had really good months. I'm talking about 20K plus months, more than I ever made in corporate, right? But then there's been some months where I made nothing.
Hey mom, can you send me hey Ace,
can you send me 50? I don't got mom. Like, I don't got nothing.
You hit any support, anybody, like it's one of those, because same situation.
Yeah.
You've had great months, you've had bad months. Right. All they know about
you have a different appreciation when you go through it yourself.
Facts.
And so now I'm almost excited when I meet someone who is an entrepreneur, because I'm like, they're going to get me. They're going to understand. And my thought process when I think about a life partner is there's nothing I would love more than to have somebody who gets it and knows it. And then we basically build that empire together. Like we build on each other's strengths and we help each other's businesses and in ways find opportunities to collaborate, whether that's throwing business his way or him throwing business my way or us creating another venture together. I mean, that's the ultimate goal as far as I'm concerned now. But until I got into a place of doing it myself, I couldn't fathom it. I didn't understand it. I didn't have an appreciation for it, which is why I think it was important. You know, I did use the term lost or outgrown, but I think outgrown is better because I haven't lost friends. I've outgrown them because I know that they can't fathom or comprehend the difference in my life now.
Yeah.
They don't have their appreciation for it.
My exact verbiage with because I've had some of these awkward conversations with my friends. Why you ain't been out this? Why you ain't been boom boom? I just straight clear. Like I don't feel like, because when I would say things like, I feel, man, I grew this, you boom, it makes it seem like I'm superior to them and I'm moving at a faster pace. When really it's just outgrowing the dynamics of our friendship.
Right. That's all it is.
Like, hey, we're not in college no more. We're not, hey, let's go hang out every day. No, if I do that, I'm losing time. I'm losing money. I'm an entrepreneur. You know how
I can't go out and get drunk with you on a weeknight.
And so once they found out, I spent literally from 2016 was the start. That was when I like vowed to myself, like I'm all in.
Yeah.
And it was way less partying.
Yeah.
And a lot more snap, pick, boom,
right.
Everything all at once. I'm seeing which one gonna bite.
And how much has your life improved since then?
Man, now I'm relearning myself and what I like to do on my free time.
Love that.
Because when bills are paid, I got a set routine. Children are at an age where they're, growing, want to spend more time with friends, mom, everything, you know. I'm at a point where I'm like, it's kind of like I force myself to just do, like I take different, like it's weird with the free time.
I'm in that weird spot too. Like,
and
I don't know if you've been keeping up with me on socials, but like I posted about this recently because I just had a birthday.
Okay.
And
Happy
I was
belated,
like,
by the way.
thank you. And I'm like, I didn't want to celebrate how I have in the past because I didn't care to drink. I didn't care to party. I didn't care for any of that. I'm like, I'm in a place right now where I want deeper, meaningful connections. I'm like, what I'm imagining as fun outside of work is like bonfires, barbecues, traveling,
That's my number one right
game
there.
nights. Like,
Do what I normally do in your own comfort zone, but somewhere else.
Right.
Go travel, like, especially as a photographer, videographer. Like, it is crazy how much, like, when I'm working, it does not feel like work sometimes.
Right.
I will
Because you're
literally
doing
be,
what you love.
and I'll be in my office. That's also a studio.
Yeah.
So I can literally just be like working, take some pics, take some video. Like, it's like, and then I'll get off and I go home and then I'll edit if I want to, if I need to. Or I have a night shoot. I'll be in a law firm during the day.
Yeah.
Nightlife entertainment part, like, that's what kept me going, doing and shooting different industries to where I could not get bored.
Right.
I no longer had a 9 to 5 where I would just show up, same four walls every day and be driving myself crazy.
Right.
No, the time
flex. I got a really kind of tough question to ask you, and I don't know how real you can keep it with me on this one. So you have, and I've been in the same situation before several times, and it's gone both ways for me. But you said you have a 9 to 5, even though you negotiated your own terms, you have everything set up the way you want to have it. You're still an entrepreneur. You still have your own business. So, what has been your experience having that commitment to this one, what I call a big fish client, right? Where you're like, you're committed to them, you're in their office, maybe 5 days a week, set schedule. Do you feel like you've been put in a position where you've been pigeonholed and your business and anything else you want to do has been halted in any way?
Heck no. And let me tell you,
you're one of the lucky ones.
And it's very few, and this is why I'm a part of this firm.
Yeah.
They promote me just as much as I promote them.
Are they hiring?
The same work I do for them, they do for me. Anything that I need to provide the services for my job, my company, they will provide.
You know how rare that is?
Rare. Part of hey, you want a photographer, videographer without a studio, without the top quality of this, without the top quality of that? Let's make it happen. This is what's needed to get here. This is what's needed to maintain this.
Beautiful
you trust my judgment. You trust this. You trust that. Oh, if I got this, I will make sure I deliver that. If this is lined up, I'll get that. And like, they have built, because mind you, this is a big time. To this table, I'm a penny on there. If this table were their company, I'm a penny. And so coming into this situation very humbly, I'm like, whoa, a company of this magnitude is pushing me on national television saying, this is our guy. This is the top guy out here. We only deal with the top.
That's amazing.
Everything. This is him. And in return, I'm like, what? I'm just here to.
But that's how you build loyalty, and that's how you build that team dynamic that's unbreakable. And I love that this is the conversation and this is the experience you've had, because it's honestly one of the first of its kind that I've heard. I've experienced the opposite. I was presented with an opportunity with a former client to, join his team full time with a 6-figure salary, 5% equity in future deals, but with the caveat that I dissolved my business. And I'm like, how could you put an entrepreneur's back against the wall like that when they came to you with that business? It's almost saying, it doesn't matter what you have going on. That means nothing of value to me, even though that is what scaled me to where I'm at right now. What's been my experience, unfortunately, has been when you do a really good job, entrepreneurs and these business owners that you want to support, that you're supporting, then want to own you. And they're like, well, you do so good, I don't want to share you with anyone else. And it's that mentality, that scarcity mindset that I think actually gets in the way of what can be in a very abundant relationship. Because case in point, you have this loyalty now to this firm that's treated you so well, that's respected you as a business owner, that you feel like you have this security and this almost family bond with them.
Oh, it's a family.
It's
Law
a family
firm for life. Hands down,
amazing.
law firm for life.
And so, you are, when you're happy somewhere, you're not going to look to go anywhere else, but you also don't feel like your growth is stunted. You also have the ability that in your free time, whether that be evenings or weekends or whatever the case may be, you have the ability to still grow your own business. And that, in my opinion, is the definition of like entrepreneurship, abundance. And the reality of the matter is that the owner of that firm that you work at is also an entrepreneur. And majority of these people they're all entrepreneurs. So the fact that they don't think that way is where I'm like, we're doing ourselves a grave disservice by thinking in the way of needing to have ownership over something, instead of allowing people to show up in their superpower and decide what they can bring to the table. And every entrepreneur within their own right knows what their bandwidth is, and when they need to scale and when they need to delegate and grow their team. So why do people try to control that so much and micromanage that? It baffles me.
Yeah, it baffles me as well. Like I said, it just takes me back to that the wise man who told me early in entrepreneurship that it would take you'd struggle for 5 years.
Yeah.
I didn't land my first salary position until 6 years into entrepreneurship, and it made sense. It clicked. I said, man,
most people don't even do that.
If I would have met John Gomez in 2015, I wouldn't have had to go through all that. So by the time I got through it, I appreciated it and I valued it so much, which is why I was like, and I will say this to any entrepreneur that is at that hump from wanting to really shoot for I wouldn't even just say a salary position, but that big client, that big investor, that
big
sponsor.
fish client.
Negotiate your contract.
Yeah.
Right. But in the midst of negotiating your contract, make sure you provide and you showcase not just your credentials, but how can you really help this business grow, generate more revenue, show your worth,
add the value,
add it.
Show where you're going to add the value.
It's not good enough saying, oh, I got this degree, I got that. You need to show what you've done after the degree.
Yeah.
After the degree, what is your in the field experience and what are your results? Results are what matter most.
Results.
Whatever you did for it's like a resume. Whatever you did for that company, can you please provide it for me? And then how long have you provided stuff like this? What is your consistency? What is it? These are things that all fall into your value.
100%.
So the moment you think that, oh, they should just know, or I've been doing this, no, they don't know.
That's entitlement.
Especially those big companies that barely see all the pennies that are all around. If you're not even a part of that penny in that table and you're just a part of the outside world, that's the ocean. How are they going to know you? They have to see you. You have to make yourself known, and then you got to demand it. You got to do those things, stick to the script, stick to the consistent script of providing whatever services or, whatever you do as an entrepreneur. The moment you get an opportunity to sit at a table and, try to hook that big fish, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure you include your value and negotiate your own contract. You can do that. Don't be afraid to decline a small time offer because you want a little more. Kindly decline, but if you genuinely want it, let them know that you would still like to inquire or negotiate better terms and conditions. The ones that really want you, they'll say, okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
At that point, it is now in your court, and now you have to provide.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I locked in my first big fish client, and that feeling is like,
man,
next level confidence.
If I can get one more of those, if I get one a day, I'll be a trillionaire.
Legit.
But the likelihood is like, man, it took me 6 years of busting my ass to find this man.
Yeah.
So I asked myself, is it going to take me another 6?
Looks like I might need to have Mr. John Gomez on the podcast
man,
next.
I'm telling you, that's another big fish right there, man. I would highly recommend. 10 out of 10, highly recommend.
Love that.
For sure. So
John, shout out to you coming on next.
For sure.
So we're getting to the tail end of our podcast, but I always I want to close it out on this segment. Shameless plug to Executives Extension, my business. We provide white glove executive assistance support to entrepreneurs and SMEs, small to medium sized business owners. your partner at every stage of growth. So I got to ask you, you're what, 9 years, 10 years in the game, entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Have you ever worked with an executive assistant?
Executive assistant, not well. I haven't had one yet. I've had an assistant, amateur assistant, but I've worked hand in hand with a boss who had an executive assistant currently, previous.
Mm-hmm.
And even before him, I've seen hand in hand an executive assistant.
What value did that EA provide to the big fish client?
I mean, me personally, the executive assistant, they are literally like the co-op. They do everything that the leader can't get to.
Like the backbone
And
of the
then
organization.
whatever they can't get to, and if it's too much for the executive assistant to do everything, they're also going to be in charge of delegating.
Yeah.
They're going to do everything to make boss man or boss woman not have to worry about nothing. When you think about that position they're playing,
it's so hard to define it, right? Because they're literally like an extension.
Yeah, you got the quarterback, who's the most important position in football, and then you have the offensive line.
Football. I don't know
right?
Football.
All I'm saying is the hardest position in any sport to play is hands down quarterback.
Okay.
That's the hardest position
Those
to
are
play.
normally the cutest ones, right?
Right, but they also, every time they say hike, within 7 to 10 seconds, they got 11 people way bigger than them trying to take their head off.
I love that analogy.
So you got a split.
That's exactly what it's like.
Physically, this is not just making a decision, a high pressure decision, and somebody says, "Oh no, it was a bad one." If you make a wrong decision under them, you're getting smashed. You're getting physically hit.
Yeah.
That constant pressure is through the roof. So that is equivalent to the CEO,
mm-hmm.
the offensive line, the people that protect him. Those are the executive assistants.
Right.
So
that's that buffer.
Yeah, those are the ones that protect.
Right.
That make sure, hey, nobody can get to this man needs time.
Yeah.
To make the decisions.
Right.
That's equivalent to an executive assistant. So instead of a whole,
and they have to have a certain level of understanding
everything.
And decision-making ability in order to guard that time and make sure that the business is protected. I love that you have that exposure and you understand the value that executive assistants provide. In my experience, what I realize is a lot of people don't even know what we do because, again, no shame to them, but let's say the $19 an hour people, they're not close enough to senior leadership to see that the ins and outs of the intricacies that make a business successful.
You got to be an executive first.
Yeah, there's so many things that are like high ticket items that are literally the entire business is riding on these decisions in order for it to make or break the business. So I know, as like you've mentioned, you worked with an assistant before. I know I met your assistant, but I think that assistant is what I would call more of like an apprentice, right? It's someone who's working on the job in your same field to help you as like a second set of hands. And for every industry, I think an assistant could look different, right? Like, but every business truly does have administrative support that's needed, whether that's invoicing clients, whether that's managing a schedule, whether that's booking travel for a gig or anything like that. So there is a right answer, but it's okay if you answer wrong. What do you think the average cost of a virtual assistant is here in the States?
Average cost of a virtual assistant here in the States annually?
No, like an hourly cost. Like, what do you think the hourly cost average is for a virtual assistant? Again, it's okay if you don't know the answer. This is the reason why I ask these questions. I feel like a lot of people don't know.
So someone in the US, so not like getting a virtual assistant in like another.
Correct.
So right now, average virtual assistant I mean, I know the foreign more than I know American. Crazy because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But out here, I would say 40 an hour.
It's actually less than that.
25 hour?
A little bit higher.
30 hour.
30 an hour.
Virtual assistant.
Yeah. Now, when you think about that from a business owner standpoint, And like, let's say you need a part-time assistant. So like 10 hours, 20 hours a week, $30 an hour. Does that seem super unaffordable, or does that seem like something that could be afforded?
I believe that could be afforded.
Right.
Me
So the
personally.
question is, why don't more people work with an assistant? Because entrepreneurs feel like they need to do it all themselves.
And also frugal.
Yeah.
It's a
But that's
combination
the
because it
scarcity
does,
mindset
yeah.
that we need to help
But it takes
people.
money to make money. So if you spend a little bit of money hiring an executive assistant, they're going to be able to do twice as more work than where they're going to get more stuff out for twice as more clients. Now you reach, like, I understand that just from the entrepreneurship and experience, and that's part of what I help with too. Like, hey,
Yeah.
it does make sense to invest a little bit here to make more money on the back end
Right.
at this time. You
Yeah.
know?
There's this fantastic book called Who Not How, and it talks about building a team of people that are in their superpower,
Okay.
because then something that maybe isn't your best skill set, let's say it's calendar management
Yep.
or email management, you then can delegate that to someone else, so
Yep.
you can be working more in your craft, which actually generates you money.
Yep. Maximize
And
your
so
potential.
that's how you scale your business. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs get in this mindset of, oh, I don't have the money, oh, I'm not making the money. But it's like, if you were to change the mindset and even just do something like a $300 commitment to 10 hours of somebody helping you, how much more you can actually get done, and then allowing that to grow into the next step and the next step and the next step. And that's like, it's upward from there. So my hope with this new podcast segment is to build relations in the community with other, like-minded entrepreneurs, and also really just get the awareness out about how much value an executive assistant can add to really anyone's business. And we can start as low as $30 an hour, 10 hours, all the way up to someone who's full-time that's like in office every single day. So I love what I do. I love adding value, and I hope that you'll book a discovery call with me, because I can help you, or any of your other entrepreneur friends. But I really, really enjoyed having you on the podcast today, and hearing about your story and your journey. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And likewise, I like hearing about your story, and we touched base on it before. Just how we met. We met through another entrepreneur.
Right.
So I feel like it was just, we found out in a matter of time, like God is working right now. He's bringing the entrepreneurs in San Diego together.
Amen.
And I think he's bringing some of the top entrepreneurs upcoming that have been established. We're bridging that gap.
Right.
And now we're starting to hit our peak.
Yep.
And now we can get to a point where we're going to peak, and then we'll start to shed more light and help and build more,
Yeah, that's the
more,
goal. I would love
long-lasting
that.
entrepreneurs and business owners. So,
Yeah. Help me get John on the podcast next.
oh, most definitely.
Well, thanks all, everybody, for tuning in for the first ever episode of Entrepreneurs Exhale. Lots of love and sparkle.